You ready?
Rolling.
You ready to shoot another unpopular video?
Which one did we actually popular?
That's what I mean.
All right.
But this one's going to be relatively unpopular because, again, we're going to be telling people facts and things. We're not...
If we're going to get more than 25 views, I'm happy.
All right, well, I bet we already have 25 views. We're not even done, and I bet there's already 25 views of this video. I know, it's not possible. So we want to talk today about upgrades. We get a lot, and first of all, thank you. There's a lot of people watching this channel. There's a lot of people sending in emails and questions and comments, and we thank you for them all.
You get the email, I don't.
Yeah, well, you get some of them. You get more messages, but I get, you do get emails. Anyway, most of the emails are about products and pricing and availability and all those sorts of stuff, but a lot of emails come in about upgrades. And it's probably a good time to do a video about upgrades because it's not, I mean, it's one thing to see us talking about possibilities on a video, but it's another thing to email and say, okay, I have this amplifier and I want to upgrade it. How much is it going to cost to do that? And there's some really practical things to think about. I had an email last week about a Class G amplifier that somebody wanted to put an FCF pack on it. We can't really do it. Well, we can do it,
but it's not
effective. Talk about that.
Well, Class G is supposed to raise the power supply rail up and down?
Yeah, switching rails.
Switching rails, up and down, different voltage.
Yep.
Depends on the music volume. And the FCF is designed for the traditional power supply that have a fixed rail. And if we try to use if we try to put the FCF into that Class G amp, we have to use the highest voltage cap, and most of the time it's not using it. So it's not effective. You're putting money into a lot of headroom, but not necessarily where you're going to use. So it's not very effective on the Class G amp. It's mostly for Class A and Class AB.
Yep. Now, the same person emailed me back and said, how about my NAD BEE 316 amplifier? Now that's an amplifier that we can do something with. But then there's practical questions, right? The first thing is, everybody has to remember that these amplifiers have to come to us because we have to put a jack on the back of it to accommodate a plug-in for the new power supply supplement.
FCF.
The FCF. Now, in the case of the NAD, and this is like a special case, and not a special case, but this is a particular case, and it applies to other amplifiers too. In the case of the NAD BEE 316, there's actually room inside to install an FCF without adding...
Not quite an FCF.
No, okay, fair enough.
But
pretty much.
Similar,
yeah. So we can install the power supply supplement inside. The amplifier still has to come back. The beautiful thing about that is that we can still put a jack on the back and make it compatible for even more upgrades. However, the question then becomes, do you want to spend that money on an NAD BEE 316, which I think was like a $299 or $399 US integrated amplifier. I sold them at one time and I can't remember the price, and that's an amplifier that's non-current, so it's 7-8 years old anyway. Good amplifier, inexpensive amplifier. But would you be farther ahead at that point because of that money for shipping and adding a socket and adding an FCF module or doing internal upgrades? If you were to sell the BEE 316 and buy a Funky for pretty much the same money that you'd spend to upgrade the NAD, you'd have a better amplifier. And I mean, not just it's a little better. No, this would be a much better amplifier, and it already comes equipped with an FCF jack. So.
And there's a lot more room inside for future upgrades.
A lot more room inside for future upgrades. And I mean, honestly, that may not be everybody's group, but I find this way more fun and interesting to look at than an NAD BEE 316. Now, I'm not trying to diss the NAD BEE 316 owners out there. There's a lot of those amps. They're good amplifiers. They're actually a really good little budget amplifier. So you can do things to them and make them sound better. They will keep sounding. They will continue to sound. The more you upgrade, the more they will sound like just a better version of the NAD BEE 316. So that's a choice you would have to make. You'd have to ship it back. We'd have to ship it out, or for the same money, you could buy something like that. Your choice. Both are good choices. I mean, if you just happen to have a BEE 316, then it might be worth looking into if you want. But if you're going to spend that money up on an upgrade, then you should really consider if you can. And these are polarizing. This is artwork. So some people don't want artwork with their audio. That's fine. That's your choice.
This is also one of a kind.
Yes.
I can't repeat another one.
No. So that's a choice you have to make, and that's why the emails are good. That's why it's good to contact and say, here's what I have, here's what I'm thinking, and we can talk you through that. And I mean, honestly, I probably convince people to turn down upgrades more than I convince them to proceed with them, because just not quite practical. So there's part one of our video.
Yeah, not practical and not cost effective.
Right.
Cost effective is almost more of my point of view. Is I can do basically anything. Is I am possibility. Here's practicality. So you give me something, I can basically do almost any upgrade. But as soon as we start talking cost, is it worth it?
Hard to judge.
That's practicality.
That's up to you. So I can do that. So speaking of practicality and upgrades, so if you thought the first part of the video was educational and boring, you're going to love the second part.
Oh, this is worse.
This is worse.
Worst.
Or better, depending on your point of view. Right? Here we have, can I tell everybody what this is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dust coated.
It's dirty.
It's not dirty. It's depends on point of view. Dust is a protective layer.
Uh-huh.
As long as you don't touch it.
Okay, that was a dead bug.
That's protein.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm hungry.
Yeah. Not for dead bugs, I hope. So, this is a prototype board that was used. What we used this was 6-7 years ago now.
Yeah, that's for testing capacitor.
Testing capacitors.
Signal capacitor.
Signal capacitors for use in the tube simulator in the pipe, the TSP.
Yeah. And then we started as NFS 238 integrated amp.
Yeah. So, and what we have here is a series of switches. We have different capacitor configurations, and the whole point was to flip switches and find the right capacitor configurations to do a specific job. All right? Now, this is really important. One type of email we get is from customers who want to replace, I love my equipment, but I want to replace the capacitors and the resistors and this and that. I mean, first of all, you have to wonder if people want to replace so much of what's in there, how much do they really love what they're hearing? But the other thing is they talk about Vichy resistors and Mundorf capacitors and this, that. I want to do this and I want to do that. And actually, you came up with a really, really great analogy for that.
What did I say?
The All-Star team.
Oh, the All-Star team is like they're a great player.
Yeah.
But do they play together as a team?
Yeah.
Heck no.
And here's the thing, right? The whole reason for this setup is so that we can switch these things around and we can actually test, and we do actually test and listen to see which of these combinations work. So we get to try the team out before we ever put them on the ice. Now, if you're a hockey fan, this works great for you. If you're a football or baseball fan or basketball fan, it's the same kind of idea. Although basketball, sometimes it is with 5 guys on the court at any time. Sometimes you do want to try and get a few all-stars. Anyway, but
it's only 5 people.
It's only 5 people.
When you're talking about 10 or more,
yeah,
the more numbers of people, the more number put part together,
the more teamwork.
The more teamwork, that means they have to work together.
Yeah. So in that case, it's not probably wise to just go, oh, I want this, and I want this, and I want this, and I want that. No, you need upgrades that will work together to produce the desired effective effect. And sometimes that means you don't need a Mundorf capacitor. I'm sorry. Again, it sounds like I'm against Mundorf capacitors. I'm not. They make a fine product, just not always compatible or practical to use.
And I'm going to say Vishay, since you brought the two names out. Vishay, do you know Vishay, the company, how many passive component company they own? They own the crappiest product in the world to one of the best product in the world. The name Vishay means absolutely nothing. Can I say that?
I don't know. But you did.
So if you tell me that you want Vishay resistor in there, well, which company of Vishay and what model of it and what series of that and where do they make? Now another dangerous part is like, oh, I just read a review of this capacitor, that's great. Well, you just read the review. How do they test the capacitor?
And more importantly, how is that capacitor going to work for you in your piece of equipment? And the answer is
we don't know.
We don't know. It's unpredictable, but you can't assume just because it's that capacitor. It's capacitor A. Capacitor A is going to be more effective than capacitor B. So when we do upgrades, we are generally speaking doing upgrades on power supplies, but we do upgrades on other things too, and we do take time considering what's the best product for use with what you've already got going on in there. So, you know what? You may not be, we may not be getting you the Wayne Gretzky of resistors because the Doug Gilmour of resistors would work better. That is a terrible analogy because that's hockey, and a lot of people in the U.S. are not going to be up on that.
Well, let me try another one.
You do that.
It's like you having a steak having a drink, cocktail or something. Cocktail or mocktail. If it get too salty, you want to put sugar in there to make it sweeter. No, you need to start over again because it's going to one's end. It's like too much base. You want to have less base. You add something to pull the base out. But then what happened with the rest of the frequency spectrum? Too sweet, you want to put salt in there. Too salty, you want to put sugar in there.
Yeah.
Doesn't work that way.
No.
You can't say a preamp is too bright. Well, you change the capacitor to make it less bright. It doesn't work that way because what happened with the rest?
Yeah.
There's a lot of the rest. It's not just a frequency spectrum. It's the timing, the attack, all the stuff that have to work together. And we testing one or two type of capacitor with that jig, just input and output, and that's it. If you try to put a cap into a preamp or power amp, you are using the rest of the circuit in that component to test one part. And you don't even have an instant A-B comparison. So it's very difficult to judge that part. So when you read a review that say capacitor, this capacitor is great, I am starting to question how did they been tested? How did it being tested?
Unless there's some kind of jig that they set up where they can switch things in and out like this, you can't test it. You seriously can't test it.
Somebody will tell you.
Somebody will tell
you otherwise, but
you can't.
I don't know much. That's all I know.
Yeah. So are you playing the part of the dumb person in this video? Because I got to be the dummy in the last video.
Why?
Well, you said you don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Not wing. Don't know, not wing.
I know I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I need to go get hot
dog. In that case, then it's probably time to wrap this up. So, hopefully we've not bored you quite to death, maybe only to sleep, and you're still with us. You got the pot card? Time to wake up because we're ending the video, and thank you for watching. So thank you for watching. If you have questions, more questions about riveting stuff like resistors and upgrades, please.
Oh,
what side do you got? Yeah, there you go. So this time I get to go first. My shop is called Entracte Audio. You can check my website at entracteaudio.com. Angela-Gilbert.com, or you can send in emails, questions, queries, arguments to ontractaudio@rogers.com. Or if you want to check out some Angela-Gilbert Young gear, which we didn't really talk about much except for the funky amplifier, but if you want to check out some Angela-Gilbert Young gear, check out Angela-Gilbert.com. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. Hope you're not in a coma. Take care. Bye-bye.